Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys our review of End of Existence by The Browning. So after listening to this entire album for the whole week, I'm going to throw the floor to Vile. What do you think of the album?
So overall, pretty enjoyable. Didn't really get bored of it, I can't say. A couple of little things stood out to me here and there. Yeah, I don't know, it was a bit of a unique listen. I looked them up, they call themselves electronic core. Mm-hmm. That's the genre they're going with, which I agree with. I mean, that's a fitting name. So I guess I'll talk about some of the tracks that I liked, okay? One thing I thought might be interesting is I have a favorite track on this album, and it's a favorite by far. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if you have a favorite or not. Don't say it if you know, because I was thinking on the count of three, we can both say our number one track and see if it's the same.
I have it's one of two tracks that's my favorite.
Pick one. And we'll
okay, you know what? Out of those two tracks, I think I can pick one that's more definitive.
Okay, so on three, you wanna say it at the same time? And see
so 1, 2, and then we say it?
1, 2, 3, da.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
No man can become a god.
Okay, so it's not the same. That was way off. I totally thought, okay, so God is taught, okay, which I believe is German for God is dead, is the hypest song on the album. The riff is so catchy. When the chorus breaks in, it just is filled with energy. This song would be amazing to see live. And that's another thing. If these guys live don't have the laser lights and the whole fucking thing going on, they're missing their opportunity.
That would be sick.
Because I'm feeling these guys have potential for an amazing live show if they're not already doing it. But yeah, best song on the album for me by far, easy. Another song that I liked was Cataclysm, which instrumental.
It's kind of like an interlude track almost.
It is, but it's a little too long to be called an interlude in my opinion. It's about 3.5 minutes, I think.
I thought it was 2.5.
Is it 2.5? Either way,
it's on the short side.
It's shorter, but still pretty cool. It's got this weird, it's got kind of like a 90s crime mystery kind of theme music vibe to it. There's some cool polyrhythmic sections there, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not the best at this, but I think there's a 5/8 section over a 4/4. Like the guitars are doing 5/8 chugs over the drums, which are doing 4/4 time. I think
in Cataclysm.
In Cataclysm, yes.
Honestly, I'd have to hear it again.
I have to hear it again, but that's fine. You can correct me if I'm wrong later on. It's got this clap percussion, which, I mean, a lot of artists use clap percussion, but it's unique to this album, so I thought it was pretty cool to have that in there. And tonally, just tonally, the melody reminded me of the Halloween theme, right? John Carpenter's Halloween. Just tonally, not melodically or anything like that. So I thought that was a pretty cool song because it had some elements that I was, interested in. The other song that I gravitated towards was the last song of the album, which was Fearless. There's clean vocals throughout this album, but on this one specifically, the clean vocals kind of attracted me a little bit more. The tone of the voice is a little different than other songs. The lyrical phrasing, although nothing profound, it still has some niche characteristics with kind of the usage of the sustained notes on each line and just things like that kind of just give it more character and more body that I was attracted to. So those are kind of my go-to tracks on the album. Antiscendency is another one that kind of stands out because it's got a female vocal harmonizing in there, which I don't know where that comes from. If she's a band member or a guest vocalist, I'm not sure. I don't recall hearing a female voice on any other song. I could be wrong, but that's the only one I remember hearing it on. But I want to pass the floor to you now. No Man Can Become a God. I want to know why you like that song because it was one of my least favorite, to be honest.
That song. Now, to explain why I like that song, I got to explain a little bit about my experience with this album. And I think this is a good album, enjoyable. I really liked that the electronic core concept. Overall, you don't hear it often, and I found the songs that I were gravitating towards were the ones that had the most electronic core about them, rather than the ones that didn't. Right. No Man Can Become a God is one of them. Fearless is another one. When I said I was torn between two, Fearless was the other one. Okay. But when I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I was just enjoying No Man Can Become a God, just overall, the emotion in that song, how catchy it kind of felt. Overall, I was just really jiving with that song over the week. Mm-hmm. And, one of the issues I was kind of finding when I was listening to this album is that at some points, it just felt like it was just there for me. I didn't find a lot of the time something was really reaching out at me and really grabbing my attention. It was just like, okay, you know, it's doing its thing. Unless a song like No Man Can Become a God, Fearless, what else did I write? Antiscendency, Torment, Cataclysm. These are songs that have more electronic influence in them, and I found that to be more interesting. Because some of the riffs on other songs felt very straightforward and basic and didn't really catch my attention very well. And that leads into the fact that I'd have to hear which one was it that had the 5/4 over the Cataclysm. Even that song, like, it would kind of just blow by, even though I did enjoy it, but I didn't really didn't really grab me to really like, oh wow, I really got to look into this. It was just kind of there. And that's why I kind of have to hear it again. But
I find that very interesting because you're usually the type of person, just because you're a schooled musician, who would catch something like that. I mean, I hear it too, but you're usually the one that says, hey, this is happening. And I'm like, well, oh yeah.
I mean, the reason for that is that it just didn't grab me enough for me to really pay much attention. As weird as that sounds, but this album didn't really, I don't know, it feels like it's a bit of a me thing of this week. I don't know what it was, but this album just wasn't really grabbing me that much. A lot of the riffs felt very straightforward and basic and not really that interesting.
I can agree with that.
Got Is Taught is hype. Is cool, yeah. I didn't love it, and that was the problem I was facing with this album, is that it's cool, that's cool, this is cool, but I don't think it's really the most exceptional thing I've heard. And there was one small thing. Oh wait, no, it's in Rage. This one note is that Rage is a cool song, but in the first chorus, that windshield wiper was annoying me. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There's this sound effect that honestly sounded like some kind of annoying windshield wiper. Turn that off. Come on, it's not raining anymore.
That's bizarre.
But another thing that kind of bothered me is that a lot of songs have the most predictable slowdowns. Like a lot of them, like, oh, they're doing that again, they're doing that again. By the end of the album, I'm hearing it again, I'm like, again?
Yeah.
You can do that a few times on an album, sure, maybe, but they do it a little bit too much. And I got to the point where I'd hear them slow down and be like, again?
Yeah.
I feel like they overused that. And I remember, it might have even been in the first song they did something like that, where they'll slow down and then they speed back up. It was very early on in the album where they start introducing this idea. And I thought it was really cool when I first heard it.
Yeah.
But by the time you get to near the end of the album and they're still doing it,
yeah,
that is where lies the problem. But overall, though, I do think this is a really cool and interesting and even unique album. It doesn't really sound like much you've heard, but
not much. There's a couple of things I can put my finger on. But
when you said last week that these guys kind of sound like Born of Osiris, that kind of, I don't want to say planted it into my head, but that remained with me. I thought about that when I listened to this album, and I'm like, you know what, this is like if you took Born of Osiris and played them at just a slower speed, almost.
Something like that, yeah. They're basically like, you can put them in the same group, is basically all I'm saying. They're not a carbon copy, they don't sound exactly like each other, but
they don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of the synth element in there, which just gives them that electronic core kind of vibe. I'm ready to rate it. Actually, I want to say one more thing about God Is Taught. And this is the reason why I wanted to do the 3, 2, 1 countdown. I was so sure that you were going to. So the reason I said that is because when the chorus kicks into this song, it reminds me a lot of Rammstein. We both love Rammstein. So I thought maybe that would have been enough for you to be like, oh yeah, this song.
Okay, I see that. I totally, like, now that you say that,
that's where the thought process it came from. So, but I was way off. Anyways, let's rate it. I guess I'll go first. I think this is a pretty good album. I don't really have a lot bad to say about it. I don't think either of us really do. It's an enjoyable listen, but like TV Fish said, there's just not a lot of grabby stuff here. And I only like 3 out of 12 songs, I believe, so I'm going to give it a 6. It's a nice, firm, solid 6. I think it's worth checking out, but I don't think it's worth anything higher than that.
Yeah, I feel pretty similar. I mean, from what I could tell, I feel like you may have enjoyed it a little bit more than I did. But I feel like some of it might be a little bit more of a me thing than a this album thing. I think this is still a strong album and an enjoyable listen, but it isn't the most memorable, so I think I'm going to match your score of 6. I think this is a good album, and that's really kind of just where it ends there. Cool. Anyway, guys, a double 6 for End of Existence. Still a good album. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it, too, so remember to sound off in the comments below and let us know your thoughts a week after this album's release. And that's all we got for you guys today. So remember to subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
I'm Wild Silk.
And keep those horns up.